A poor single dad lets a lost girl stay the night, and he never expected her father to be a millionaire. Subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Comment your thoughts and share to inspire someone today. Jake Thompson was exhausted. As a single dad juggling 2 jobs in a cramped apartment in Chicago, he barely had time to breathe. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was asleep under a tangle of blankets, and the room smelled faintly of dinner he hadn't finished cooking. Life was hard, lonely, and predictable. That was until the knock on his door. Standing there, shivering in the cold, was a little girl no older than Lily. Her clothes were worn, her cheeks streaked with dirt, and her big brown eyes were filled with fear. I got lost," she stammered. "Can I stay for a little while?" Jake's heart sank. He knew he shouldn't. He had barely enough food for himself and Lily, and the next paycheck wouldn't come for another week. But something about her desperate eyes reminded him of Lily. "Of course," he said softly, stepping aside. "Come in." He made her hot chocolate, wrapped her in his daughter's spare blanket, and sat with her while she calmed down. For a few hours, the 3 of them talked, laughed quietly, and shared stories. Jake felt a warmth he hadn't realized he'd been missing: connection, trust, and the simple joy of helping someone in need. The next morning, the girl's father arrived at the apartment. Jake braced himself for a confrontation, expecting a worried parent or, worse, an angry one. But the man who stepped through the door was nothing like Jake had imagined. Impeccably dressed, confident, and composed, he scanned the room before settling on Jake. "Thank you," he said simply, holding out his hand. "I'm her dad. She tends to wander off. You didn't have to do this." Jake shrugged awkwardly. "I couldn't leave her out there. Just seemed like the right thing to do." The girl's father smiled, but there was something in his eyes, gratitude mixed with respect. "I'm David Hargrove. Well, let's just say I can take care of you too. Your kindness means more than you know." Jake laughed nervously, thinking he'd misheard. "Take care of me?" "Yes," David said. "You and your daughter, I insist. People like you, who show compassion without expecting anything in return, deserve to be supported. Let me help." Weeks later, Jake's life began to change. He was offered flexible work through David's company. Lily got new opportunities she never dreamed of, and the apartment they had struggled to maintain was upgraded. But what mattered most wasn't the money. It was the affirmation that small acts of kindness can ripple into something much bigger than anyone could anticipate. One evening, Jake tucked Lily into bed and whispered, "See, sweetheart, helping others, it always comes back in ways you never expect." Lily smiled, hugging her dad tightly. "I hope everyone can be like you someday." Jake looked out the window at the city lights, reflecting on that cold night when a lost girl changed everything. In that simple act of kindness, he had discovered something profound: humanity, connection, and the surprising power of compassion. And in that moment, he realized that even in the toughest times, a generous heart could create miracles. In the weeks that followed, Jake and David developed an unlikely friendship. David didn't just offer financial support, he listened. He asked about Jake's dreams, his fears, and the little things he often ignored while struggling to get by. One evening, over coffee in Jake's modest kitchen, David said, "You know, most people would have walked away, but you didn't. That says more about you than any success I've had." Jake felt a lump in his throat. "I just did what anyone would do." "I mean anyone with a heart," David smiled. "Not everyone. That's why you're special." Meanwhile, Lily bonded with the girl who had stayed that night, Emily. They became inseparable, planning adventures, building forts, and sharing secrets. Seeing his daughter laugh without a hint of worry filled Jake with a peace he hadn't known in years. One day, David invited Jake and Lily to a gala, an event to honor acts of kindness and community impact. Jake was hesitant. He felt out of place among the wealthy and polished guests. But as they walked in, he realized something. He didn't need fancy clothes or money to belong. His courage, compassion, and selflessness had earned him a seat at this table. During the gala, David raised a glass. "To Jake Thompson, a man who reminds us that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the kindness we show each other." Jake blinked back tears as he looked at his daughter's beaming face. In that moment, he understood something profound. One small act of kindness, A warm blanket, a safe place, a listening ear, could change the course of lives. Not because it was grand, but because it came from the heart. And as they drove home that night, Lily leaning against his shoulder and Emily chattering in the back seat, Jake knew that no matter the struggles ahead, their lives were richer than ever. For in kindness they had found connection, hope, and a reminder that even in the smallest gestures, miracles can be born.